Hey, I told you people to leave. The voice sliced through Malik's melody like a jagged blade. His bow froze mid-glide, heads turned. A white officer was already storming toward him, boots thudding over the subway tiles. I'm not blocking. The way Officer Malik said, his voice low, respectful. I've been playing here for months. The cop didn't stop walking. Then maybe it's time you learned how the law works down here. The small crowd, just commuters, lolled by. The music began shifting nervously. Phones slipped halfway out of pockets. Not to help. Just to record. I'm not doing anything wrong, Malik said again. Firmer this time. The officer's jaw tightened. You want to argue now? Are you loitering or performing for tips? Got a permit for either? Malik's fingers curled around the neck of his violin. His breath quickened. This is a tribute. My mum died 3 years ago this week. I play this piece every I don't care, the officer barked. Clear out before I make you. The air changed. You could feel it. The crowd knew something was coming, but no one moved. Malik lowered his bow. Sir, I'm not resisting. I'm just. But that was all he got out. The officer lunged. Malik flinched too late. The violin was ripped from his hands like it meant nothing. No weight. Please, he shouted. Crack. The sound echoed across the platform, like bone, like something alive had snapped. Gasps burst from the crowd. The violin hit the concrete wall and split clean in two wood, splintering, strings curling like veins pulled. From a body, Malik stumbled, toward it, arms out like he could still catch it somehow. Too late, pieces scattered. The silence afterward was deafening. Why would you do that? He said, voice barely holding the officer's lip. Curled, consider it noise control. Phones were up now. Recording, streaming, documenting. But still no one said a word to the man in uniform. Malik dropped to his knees, hands trembling. He reached for the violin's body, but the bow had snapped in half. The neck dangled from its base like a broken limb. That was my mother's, he whispered. The cop turned away like he hadn't heard it at all. Malik looked up at the crowd. Dozens of eyes met him. Some were wide, some are ashamed, some just watching. A teenager in a hoodie locked eyes with him, then slowly raised his phone higher, zooming in. And then Malik felt it. The grief hadn't hit yet, not fully, but the humiliation, it was flooding in. Right there, on the floor, in front of everyone. Like he had broken not the violin. That was all I had. Malik's voice cracked as he cradled the splintered wood, like it was still whole. He blinked hard, but the tears blurred everything. The crowd had grown. Some whispered, most kept filming. A security guard stood nearby but didn't intervene. Another officer had arrived, but he didn't even glance at Malik, just chatting with the first one like this was routine. It was hers, Malik murmured. It was hers. He wasn't talking to anyone, just the floor, the air, himself. No one stepped forward. No one said stop. The violin lay in pieces on the ground, but so did he. People were still walking by. A few paused. One woman mouthed, I'm sorry, but didn't move. Malik's hands clenched, the jagged edge of the violin's body digging into his palm. He didn't care. Pain felt real. Something real. I saved for years, he said to no one. Second-hand strings, used case. The bow was patched with tape, but it played. It still played. The officer was gone now, vanished down the corridor. Like it never happened, but it did. The proof was in Malik's hands. And in every person who watched it happen and did nothing, his voice dropped to a whisper. I didn't even get to finish the song. The silence stretched, the kind that says everything and nothing. A man in a suit glanced around nervously before walking away. A girl with pink headphones whispered, "Is he okay?" but never stepped closer. Phones hovered like flies, blinking, red with live streams. Not one hand reached out. Malik sat still, broken violin across his lap. His eyes scanned the crowd pleading. No, not anymore. Just looking at all the people who'd rather post about injustice than prevent it. He realized something. It wasn't just the cop who silenced him. It was everyone, voiceover.com, but haunted. He didn't just break the violin. He broke the last piece of her I had. He broke the music I played to survive the nights I couldn't sleep. He broke the only thing that never judged me. The screen fades to black, lingering on the sound of a violin string slowly unraveling. Then silence. Malik's fingers moved slowly, careful, wiping the cloth over the wood like it could still feel. The violin wasn't much scratched, chipped, barely held together by glue and faith, but it was hers, his mother's. He looked up at her photo on the wall. Afro tucked in a bun, violin tucked under her chin, eyes alive with something that felt like forever. You said to play when the world got too loud, Malik whispered. Now the world's just quiet. He tightened the bowstrings, checked the tuning. Not perfect, but close enough. The fridge buzzed behind him. The heater clicked off. The silence wrapped around everything like a blanket soaked in grief. You're the only thing I have left, he said to the violin, his voice cracked. I swear I won't let the dust settle on your memory. But even as he said it, he didn't know how much longer he could hold it all together. The last thing she ever said to him was, keep playing, even if no one listens. She gave him the violin just days before the cancer took her no-will. No goodbye letter, just that instrument. He'd practiced on her lap as a boy, made music before he knew what pain was. Now every note carried all of it. The cracks in the body matched the ones in him, but it still sang. And when it did, so did she. He never played for money. Not really. He played to remember. He played not to drown. He almost made it. Juilliard. Full scholarship. One suitcase, one dream, no backup plan. Then his foster brother overdosed. Malik missed 3 finals planning, a funeral no one else showed up for. He tried to make it work, bus tables, sweep floors, deliver food till 2 a.m. but talent didn't pay rent. They gave him a choice, stay or drop out. He walked, not because he gave up on music, but because he couldn't afford to survive and dream. Since then, every subway corner, every tunnel echo, it's been Juilliard in his head. No crowd, just ghosts. They think I play for tips. Malik laughed, bitter and low. I play so I don't fall apart. He stared at the broken case now sitting in the corner. It used to hold his life, his history, his heartbeat. Most nights he played until his hands hurt. Not because it paid well, but because the silence afterward felt worse. When I play, he said once to a friend, I don't think about what they said at the store, or what that cop muttered under his breath, or how they all look through me like I'm not there. Each note was defiance. Each melody was a memory kept alive. He didn't play for an audience. He played to stay human. And now, it is gone. Malik was halfway through the final note when the voice barked behind him. Didn't I tell you to pack it up last week? He looked up Sergeant Brooks, Same tone, same eyes, same disrespect hidden under a badge. I'm not blocking traffic, Malik said calmly. Just playing tribute set. It's her birthday today, Brooks sneered. What? You're gonna cry and call it art? People had gathered again, they always did. But no one spoke. Just watched, recorded. I walked away. Malik slowly loosened the bowstrings, trying not to look shaken. This ain't a concert hall, Brooks added. You don't get special treatment 'cause your mama liked Mozart. She liked Coltrane, Malik said quietly. The cop stepped closer. Oh, so now you're getting smart. Malik didn't flinch. He'd learned that lesson already. Stillness meant survival. Brooks leaned in. Some of us have real jobs, you know. And just like that, the man walked off like nothing had happened. Malik stood there, violin in his hands, heart in his throat. Not angry, just tired. That line still rang in his head. You people. The first time Brooks said it, Malik thought maybe he misheard. Now it was routine. Drama follows you around. The officer once told him while forcing him to move, mid-set, you always bring it. But Malik never raised his voice, never cursed, never resisted, and yet it was always him. The language wasn't law. It was coded bias wrapped in authority. The message was always the same. You don't belong here, not on this platform, not in this city, not even in this country. Hands off, boy. That's not for you. Malik blinked. He'd only brushed the strings. It was a $9,000 violin, old, carved with history, just hanging there on the display. The white store manager stepped between him and the instrument like he'd pulled a gun. I was just looking, Malik said. You want to touch it, you pay for it. Malik took a step back, the shame clinging like heat. 10 minutes later, he watched a white kid, maybe 12, run up to the same display, yank the violin off the hook, and squeal, Mum, can I try this one? The manager beamed. Of course. Little man, good eye. Malik stood there, same store, same violin, same rules, different skin. He walked out before the anger got louder than the music in his head. If I smile, I'm suspicious. If I speak, I'm a threat. If I stay quiet, I'm guilty. If I play music, I'm loitering. Malik's thoughts looped like static in his chest. There's no way to be safe in a place that's built to erase you quietly. He used to rehearse what to say if he ever got stopped again, but nothing worked. Polite, fake, too confident, arrogant, too emotional, dangerous. He'd spent years walking that tightrope, never too loud, never too proud, always careful, but inside, he was exhausted, because this wasn't just racial injustice, it was daily erosion. And no one could hear the sound of something slowly wearing down until it snapped. Yo, did you get that? The cameraman stumbled back as the cops slammed Malik's violin against the concrete. Keep rolling, keep rolling. Someone shouted. The news crew had been filming a segment on subway safety, clean trains, police visibility, public trust, and now this. They caught it all, Malik's stunned face, the silence that spread like shockwaves. The reporter's voice lowered. We're not getting involved, right? Just document. Let it play out. Malik was on his knees, arms limp, eyes locked on the splintered neck of his violin. Please, he whispered. That was my mother's. Phones were out. People watched. No one moved. The officer, calm, almost proud. One of the producers leaned in to the cameraman. This'll get numbers. That's what he'd become, content. Not a man, not a musician, just another black headline. Malik didn't cry. He just sat there, hollow, somewhere behind him. The reporter rehearsed a line. Disturbance downtown ends with police intervention details at 6. The video dropped that night, uncut, brutal, viral, but by morning, the narrative had changed. Street performer attacks officer, read one headline. Public safety threatened in subway, read another dot. The networks cropped out the solo. The crowd, the silence. They looped the moment Malik tried to stop Brooks from grabbing the violin, just his hand reaching forward. Frozen mid-frame, talk shows debated his intent. Why was he out there anyway? Was the officer really out of line? Looks like the guy lunged at him. No mention of music, no mention of grief, just a black man, a cop, and a moment that fits a familiar script. By noon, Malik's name was trending, but not for his talent. Clips circulated, voices layered over his pain. He provoked the officer. He didn't follow instructions, he brought it on himself. Even his former music teacher texted, "I saw the footage. Tell me what really happened." What really happened? He played a song. A man broke it. And the world chose the story that made them feel safest. The comments section was a graveyard of empathy. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Should have complied. Bet that violin was stolen anyway. Typical thug behavior. Malik stopped reading, but the words didn't stop echoing. He thought about his mum, how she'd saved up for that violin when they had nothing, how she believed music could lift people above hate. But I hate having Wi-Fi now, and everyone with a keyboard thought they knew him. Not one asked why he played. Not one asked what was taken. They just erased him, replaced him with a villain they could safely dismiss. The front desk officer didn't even hide his laugh. "You're here to file a what?" "An assault," Malik said flatly. "On me, by one of yours." The officer leaned back. "You got a badge number, Superman." Malik slid the report form across the counter. "Sergeant Brooks, subway station, caught on multiple cameras." The man scanned the paper, lips curled. "Right. That violin thing. Yeah. That violin thing." The guy looked him up and down. "Are you sure you want to do this? Filing a false report's a felony. I'm not here for jokes." The officer rolled his eyes, stamped something half-heartedly, and mumbled, "We'll let you know." Malik stood still. "That's it." The officer smirked. "What did you expect, an apology?" Just as Malik turned to leave, Brooks walked by. Didn't look at him, just slowed his step long enough to say it under his breath. That noise was embarrassing anyway. Malik froze, his jaw clenched, his hands curled, but he didn't move. Not this time, not here. Brooks kept walking, whistling, like nothing had happened, like he hadn't broken a man in front of dozens. Like Malik wasn't even real. It wasn't just the music he'd shattered. It was the belief that being peaceful could protect you. Malik walked home in the rain. No violin, no justice, no justice, no version of the truth that anyone wanted to hear. He passed people holding umbrellas. None offered shelter. He passed shops playing pop music. None heard the silence in his step. He was soaked through, hood up, hands cold, head down. But the worst part, somewhere, someone was still watching the clip and laughing, still calling him a threat, still convinced his pain was performance, and all he could hear was the applause. But for the wrong side. Yo, wait, is that the full clip? It started as a Reddit thread. Buried, a user uploaded What they claimed was the raw feed from the news crew, uncut, no overlays, no commentary. Just Malik, just the music, the post. Barely had 10 upvotes, then 50, then 5,000. It began playing everywhere. His fingers danced across strings, the haunting sound echoing through the tunnel. The quiet crowd, the moment peace was shattered. No aggression, no confrontation. Just an artist stand, a uniform that decided he didn't belong. People started sharing it. No edits, just one caption. This is what they didn't show you. Then came the reposts, TikToks, threads, the violin breaks. The gasp dot, a woman stitched it with, "This isn't just racial injustice. This is erasure." By evening, the raw clip had more views than the network broadcast. One tweet said, "This is not loitering. This is what America refuses to listen to." Malik wasn't trending as a threat anymore. He was trending as a wound. The clip didn't fade to black. It ended in Malik's voice, barely audible, shaking. "That was my mother's." And that line, just 5 words, tore something open, stitched into reposts, echoed in captions. It hit people in places facts never reached. TikTok teens wept silently. Grandmothers reposted it with shaking hands. Musicians duetted with him, leaving silence where the strings used to be. A comment with 80K likes read, "He didn't just lose an instrument. He lost his mother again." Another, "I've never cried over someone I didn't know before." And then a tweet dot. It was just one line, but it came from Viola Davis. Who destroys a man's voice like that? Underneath, the raw video, uncut. No filters. Within minutes, it hit 1 million views. Then 10. Then CNN called it the video that broke America's heart. Viola followed up. This isn't just a violin. This was his identity, his dignity, his peace. Hashtags flooded. Hashtag justice for Malik. Hashtag let him play. Hashtag racial injustice. Musicians posted in solidarity. Orchestras held a moment of silence. Even strangers said his name like they'd known him forever. He didn't ask for fame. He just asked to be heard. And finally, they were listening. The GoFundMe was started by a high school violinist in Oregon. Caption: "If we can't fix the system, let's at least fix his strings." $500 in the first hour. $12,000 by dinner. $300,000 before the third sunrise. Donations came with notes. "I never stood up before. I'm standing now. My son is learning the violin. I'm crying for both of you. This is for your mother." And in the flood of support, silent guilt cracked. People who had scrolled past before now posted Malik's name. His photo, the shattered violin, not out of pity, but respect for what was taken and what they couldn't unsee. A knock at the door. Malik didn't move. He hadn't left his room in days, just curled beneath the weight of every cruel word and every kind one he didn't trust. Then another knock, this time gentler. "Malik, it's Mrs. James, from the youth orchestra." A familiar voice. He opened the door. Just a crack. Behind her stood 2 people from Viola's team. One held a case. The other held tears. "We found you," the woman said, softly. "The world's been looking." Malik didn't understand. He hadn't touched a violin since that night. He thought maybe he never would again. The assistant stepped forward and opened the case. Inside, polished, glowing, impossibly perfect. A certified Stradivarius replica. "It's not just a violin," she said. "It's a voice." Malik stared at it like it might disappear. His hands hovered, then dropped. I don't know if I can. Take your time, she said. It's already yours. He touched the strings. Something inside him cracked open. Not grief, not rage, something softer, like the first breath after nearly drowning. The tablet lit up. Viola Davis. On video call, Malik could barely speak. She smiled gently. I saw the moment they tried to silence you. A pause. But I also saw the man they couldn't destroy. Malik swallowed. Why me? Because your silence was louder than their noise, she said. Then her voice softened, most maternal. Play, Malik. Not for them, not for revenge. Just play like the world deserves to hear you. The screen dimmed. The room went quiet, and Malik finally picked up the bow. We have reviewed the footage. Effective immediately. Sergeant Brooks is suspended. The police chief's voice cracked under pressure during the press conference. Reporters yelled over one another. Why now? Why only after the video went viral? What about the other complaints? They didn't answer that part. But the damage was done. Old cases surfaced. Malik wasn't the first. Just the one who couldn't be ignored anymore. People filled the comments about time. How many voices were broken before his? Racial injustice always hides behind a badge until it's caught on camera. Brooks didn't speak to the press, but Malik didn't need an apology. He didn't need revenge. He needed a door, and suddenly they were opening. Malik stood, frozen backstage. You ready? A producer whispered. He wasn't, but he nodded anyway. The lights were blinding. The orchestra was waiting. But somehow, his hands didn't shake. He stepped into the spotlight. Bow to strings. Deep breath. The first note pierced the silence. Then the second. Then all of them. The conductor joined in. Then violins. Then cellos. Together, they carried the sound he thought he'd lost. People in the crowd rose one by one. Some wiping tears. Some holding signs. The applause didn't feel like noise. It felt like a release. Backstage, a young black violinist hugged her mum. I want to be like him. And Maliki didn't smile. He wept. The email came the next morning. Subject, full scholarship offer, Manhattan Conservatory. Malik stared at the screen like it might vanish. He read it again. Then again, they remembered him. The boy who once had a Juilliard future. The kid who slipped through cracks built by systems, grief, and racism. Now they wanted him back. Not as a charity case, as a voice the world finally wanted to hear. Viola tweeted again, from a broken violin to a global voice. Don't let them silence. You, don't let them silence any of us. The tweet went viral. Again, but this time, it wasn't just sympathy. It was recognition from artists, activists, survivors of every kind. People reposted with stories of discrimination at work, racial profiling, microaggressions they'd swallowed. For years, Malik's name had become something bigger than him. A mirror, a melody, a movement, same spot, same breeze, same tunnels. But this time, when Malik opened his case, there was no fear in his fingers. He began to play, not for coins, not for escape, but for the kid who felt invisible. For the mother he still hears in every note. For everyone whose voice got stolen before they even spoke. A little girl tugged her dad's sleeve. Is that him? The father nodded. She, just listen, and they did. No phones, no HASH, 2HS, just silence. And his song then, If You Had Been There. Would you have said something? The question doesn't need music. It echoes. It lingers. Not at Malik, at us. Drop a comment. If you've ever felt invisible, ignored, silenced, judged by your skin before your voice, let this section be more than a video. Let it be a chorus of stories. Justice for Malik. Hashtag racism is real. Hashtag your voice matters.